The rain hammered against the old garage door like angry fists. Jake Miller wiped his greasy hands on his coveralls and looked at the clock on the wall. 10:30 at night. He had been working for 14 hours straight, trying to fix Mrs. Peterson's old Honda. The engine made strange noises that he could not figure out. Jake was tired. His back hurt from bending over car engines all day. His small garage in Detroit was not making much money. Most of his customers were poor people who needed cheap repairs. They paid him when they could, which was not always on time. Some months Jake barely had enough money to pay for food and rent. He turned off the lights in the main garage area and walked to his small office. The office had an old desk, a broken chair, and a couch that he had found on the street 5 years ago. Sometimes he slept on that couch when he worked too late to drive home to his tiny apartment. Thunder crashed outside. The storm was getting worse. Jake made a cup of coffee with his old machine and sat down to look at his bills. The electric company wanted $200. The rent for the garage was $800. He had maybe $300 in his bank account. He rubbed his eyes. Tomorrow he would have to tell Mr. Garcia that his truck would take longer to fix because Jake could not afford to buy the parts yet. Mr. Garcia needed his truck for work. Jake felt bad about making him wait, but he had no choice. As Jake was about to lock up and go home, he heard a loud crash from behind the garage. It sounded like metal hitting metal, but much louder than a car accident. The sound was followed by a bright flash that lit up the windows for just a second. Jake grabbed his flashlight and went to the back door. He opened it and looked outside. The rain was coming down so hard he could barely see anything, but there was something glowing softly in the empty lot behind his garage. The glow was blue and pulsing like a heartbeat. He stepped outside into the rain. His clothes got soaked immediately. The glow was coming from a pile of twisted metal that definitely was not there when he had arrived at work that morning. The metal looked strange. It was silver but seemed to move and shift even though it was not moving at all. It hurt his eyes to look at it directly. As Jake got closer, he saw something that made his heart stop. There was a person lying in the metal debris, a young woman. She was not moving. Jake ran to her, slipping in the mud. She was unconscious and had cuts on her arms and face, but the cuts were glowing with the same blue light as the metal around her. Her clothes were torn and made of material he had never seen before. They looked like they were woven from silver threads. The woman looked to be about 20 years old. She had long, dark hair and pale skin. But there was something different about her face. Her ears were slightly pointed, and even with her eyes closed, Jake could tell they were a bright green color that was not natural. Jake knelt beside her in the rain. He had taken a first aid class years ago when he first opened his garage. He checked for a pulse and found one. It was weak but steady. She was breathing, but very slowly. The blue glow from her cuts was getting dimmer. He looked around at the strange metal. Some pieces were the size of car parts. Others were as small as coins. All of it had that same strange quality that made it hard to focus on. Rain hit the metal and made a sound like music, soft and high-pitched. Jake knew he should call the police or an ambulance. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way the metal looked so impossible. Maybe it was the blue glow coming from the woman's wounds. Or maybe it was just that Jake Miller had always been the kind of person who helped others, even when he could not afford to help himself. He made a decision. He carefully lifted the woman in his arms. She was lighter than he expected, as if her bones were hollow like a bird's. He carried her through the rain to his garage and laid her down on the old couch in his office. Jake turned on the desk lamp and got a better look at her injuries. The cuts were strange. They were healing as he watched, and the blue glow was helping them close. But she still needed help. He got his first aid kit and cleaned the cuts that were still bleeding. He bandaged her arms and put a pillow under her head. Her breathing was getting stronger. The blue glow was fading from her skin, but Jake could still see a faint shimmer around the edges of her wounds. He had never seen anything like it. Jake went back outside to look at the metal debris. He picked up a small piece and brought it inside. Under the garage lights, it looked even more impossible. The surface seemed to have depth, like looking into clear water. When he touched it, it felt warm and seemed to vibrate slightly. He put the metal piece on his desk and sat down to watch the woman sleep. She was beautiful, but in a way that was not quite human. Her skin was too perfect, and her hair seemed to have threads of silver running through it that caught the light. Jake made another cup of coffee and settled into his broken chair. He did not know what he had gotten himself into, but he could not leave her alone. Outside, the storm continued to rage. The strange metal in the lot behind his garage pulsed with blue light in rhythm with the lightning. As the night went on, Jake dozed in his chair. He woke up several times to check on the woman. Each time she looked a little better. Her color was returning, and her breathing was normal. The cuts on her arms were almost completely healed, leaving only faint silver lines on her skin. Jake Miller had found many broken things in his life. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, and machines of all kinds. He had always been good at fixing them. But this was different. This was not just something broken. This was something impossible. And somehow it had crashed into his life on the worst night of the worst month he had ever lived through. He had no idea that this moment would change everything. That the sleeping woman on his couch would turn his small, failing garage into the center of something much bigger than he could imagine. He knew was that someone needed help, and Jake Miller had never been able to turn away from that. Jake woke up on the third morning to the sound of someone moving around in his office. He had been sleeping in the garage for 3 nights, checking on the strange woman every few hours. She had been unconscious the whole time, but her wounds kept healing in that impossible way. He sat up quickly and saw her standing by the window. She was awake and looking outside at the city. When she heard him move, she spun around and backed against the wall. Her bright green eyes were wide with fear. She said something in a language Jake had never heard before. The words sounded like music, but urgent and scared. Jake held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe. I found you hurt behind my garage 3 days ago." The woman stared at him. She tilted her head like she was trying to understand his words. Then she spoke again in that musical language. This time she pointed at herself and said something that sounded like Lisa Kane. She repeated it several times. "Lisa," Jake said, pointing at her. "Your name is Lisa?" She nodded quickly. Then she pointed at him and made a questioning sound. "Jake," he said, pointing to himself. "I'm Jake Miller." Lisa tried to say his name, but it came out as Jack. She smiled a little when she said it. Her smile was beautiful, but sad. Jake got up slowly so he would not scare her. He pointed to the coffee machine. "Coffee?" he asked. "Are you hungry?" Lisa watched him make coffee. She seemed fascinated by the simple machine. When Jake handed her a cup, she smelled it first, then took a tiny sip. Her eyes went wide and she smiled again. She said something in her language that sounded happy. Over the next few hours, Jake tried to communicate with Lisa, using gestures and simple words. She was very smart and learned English words quickly. By afternoon, she could say basic things like yes, no, water, and thank you. Jake made sandwiches for lunch. Lisa had never seen bread before. She examined the sandwich from all sides before taking a bite. She seemed amazed by the taste of peanut butter. She kept saying good and pointing at the sandwich. As the day went on, Lisa became less afraid. She started looking around the garage with great interest. She examined Jake's tools, touching them carefully and asking what they were for. Jake showed her how he used a wrench and a screwdriver. Lisa picked up tools and used them like she understood how they worked, even though she had never seen them before. That evening, Jake was trying to fix an old radio when Lisa suddenly started speaking in clearer English. Her accent was strange, but he could understand most of her words. "I must tell you truth," she said. "I am not from your world." Jake looked up from the radio. "What do you mean?" Lisa took a deep breath. "I come from far away. Very far. My people live among the stars. We travel between worlds in great ships." Jake set down his tools. "You mean like spaceships, like in movies?" "I do not know movies," Lisa said. "But yes, ships that fly through space. My people are called Zephyrians. We have many worlds, many colonies." Jake stared at her. Part of him wanted to think she was crazy or confused from her injuries, but he had seen the strange metal in her healing wounds. "Why are you here on Earth?" Lisa's face became very sad. "There is a war. A terrible war. The enemy is called the Devourers. They are not like us. They are part machine, part living thing. They eat whole worlds, take everything, and leave nothing behind." She walked to the window and looked up at the stars. "The Devourers destroyed my homeworld 2 years ago. I was on a transport ship with other refugees trying to reach safety, but the Devourers found us and attacked our ship." "What happened to the others?" Jake asked. "I do not know," Lisa said quietly. "My escape pod was damaged. I was supposed to reach the colony world of Haven, but something went wrong. I ended up here instead." Jake tried to understand what she was telling him. "So you're like a refugee from a war in space?" Lisa nodded. "My people were taught that humans are primitive and violent. We were told you fight each other and destroy your own world, but you—" She looked at Jake. "You saved me. You took care of me when I was hurt. You shared your food and asked for nothing back." "That's just what people do," Jake said. "When someone needs help, you help them." Lisa shook her head. "Not all people. In my world, many would have left me to die or sold me to the authorities. But you did not even know what I was, and you still helped me." She walked over to where Jake kept the piece of strange metal from her crash. She picked it up, and it began to glow softly in her hands. "This is from my escape pod," she said. "It contains technology your world has never seen. I can show you things that will seem like magic." The metal in Lisa's hands changed shape, flowing like liquid until it became a perfect sphere. Then it became a cube, then a flower shape with delicate petals that moved like they were alive. Jake's mouth fell open. "How is that possible?" "My people learned to control matter at the smallest level," Lisa said. "We can make materials do whatever we need them to do. This metal can become any tool, any shape, any machine." She handed the metal to Jake. When he touched it, it felt warm and seemed to respond to his thoughts. He thought about a wrench, and the metal slowly formed into the shape of a wrench. When he thought about a screwdriver, it changed again. "This is incredible," Jake said. "With this technology, I could fix anything." Lisa smiled. "There is more, much more. I can teach you about energy sources that never run out, materials that repair themselves, machines that think and learn. But I must warn you of something important." "What?" "My people will come looking for me. They have ways to track their technology, and if the Devourers find the energy signature from my pod, they might come here too. I have put your world in danger, just by being here." Jake looked at the metal tool in his hands, then at Lisa. "How long do we have?" "I do not know. Maybe weeks, maybe months, but they will come." Jake set the metal down on his workbench. His mind was racing with everything Lisa had told him. 3 days ago, his biggest worry was paying his bills. Now, he was talking to a refugee from a space war who could change metal with her thoughts. "Lisa," he said, "if your people think humans are primitive and violent, what do you think about us now?" Lisa looked around the garage, at the old tools and broken-down cars, at the coffee machine and the couch where she had recovered from her injuries. "I think your people have something my people lost long ago." "What's that?" "Hope," she said. "Even when things are broken, you try to fix them. Even when times are hard, you do not give up. Even when someone is a stranger, you show kindness. My people have great technology, but we have forgotten how to hope when things seem impossible." Jake picked up the strange metal again. It felt warm and full of possibilities. "Maybe you can teach us about your technology and we can teach your people about hope." Lisa smiled, and for the first time since she had awakened, she looked truly happy. "Yes," she said. "I think that would be good for both our peoples." Outside, the sun was setting over Detroit. In the small garage, a poor mechanic and a refugee from the stars began to plan something that would change both their worlds forever. Over the next 3 weeks, Jake's garage became a place of wonder and learning. Every morning, Lisa would wake up eager to learn something new about human life. Every evening she would show Jake another piece of Zephyrian technology that seemed impossible. Lisa was fascinated by the simplest things. She spent an entire morning watching Jake make pancakes, amazed that humans could turn liquid batter into solid food with just heat. She asked hundreds of questions about everything she saw. Why did humans put sugar in coffee? How did the radio pull voices from the air? What made car engines work? Jake enjoyed teaching her. He had never thought of himself as smart, but Lisa made him feel like an expert. She listened carefully to everything he said and remembered every detail. When he explained how a car engine worked, she drew pictures in a notebook and asked questions that made him think about engines in new ways. "Your people are very clever," Lisa said one day while watching Jake fix a transmission. "You take simple materials and make them do complex things. My people would use advanced materials to make simple solutions, but you make simple materials do advanced work." Jake wiped his hands on a rag. "We just use what we have. Can't afford the fancy stuff, so we make do." "That is exactly what I mean," Lisa said. "Making do is a skill. My people have forgotten how to make do because we always had everything we needed." In return, Lisa began teaching Jake about Zephyrian technology. She showed him how the strange metal from her pod could become any tool he needed. With just a thought, it could turn into a wrench that was exactly the right size, or a screwdriver that fit perfectly, or even a diagnostic tool that could tell him what was wrong with an engine just by touching it. "The metal reads the molecular structure of whatever it touches," Lisa explained. "It can tell you about stress fractures, worn parts, chemical breakdown, anything that affects how the machine works." Jake used the metal tool to examine Mrs. Peterson's Honda, the one that had been making strange noises. The tool showed him that a tiny crack in the engine block was causing the problem. It was so small he never would have found it with normal tools. "This is incredible," Jake said. "I could fix cars better than any mechanic in the city with this." Lisa smiled. "There is more. Watch." She touched the metal to the cracked engine block. Slowly, the crack began to seal itself. The metal somehow convinced the engine's own material to flow back together and become whole again. "How does it work?" Jake asked. "The metal talks to other materials at the smallest level," Lisa said. "It shows them how to be strong again. It is like teaching, but for molecules." With Lisa's help, Jake began fixing cars in ways that seemed like magic. Engines that should have been completely broken came back to life. Rust disappeared from metal parts. Worn-out brakes became like new again. Word spread quickly through the neighborhood that Jake Miller's garage could fix anything. More customers started coming. People brought cars that other mechanics had given up on. Jake fixed them all with Lisa's help, though he was careful to make sure no one saw the alien technology. He charged fair prices and always explained to customers what had been wrong with their vehicles. For the first time in years, Jake had enough money to pay all his bills. He even had some left over to buy better tools and improve his garage. But more important than the money was the friendship he was building with Lisa. Lisa loved hearing stories about Jake's life. She was amazed that he had grown up poor but never became bitter or mean. She could not understand how humans could be kind to each other when they had so little. "On my world, we had everything we needed," Lisa told him one evening as they shared dinner. "Food, shelter, entertainment, travel, between stars. But people were not kind to each other the way humans are kind. We were polite but not caring. Maybe that's because you never had to depend on each other," Jake said. "When you don't have much, you learn that helping others is the only way. Everyone survives." Lisa thought about this. "In the war against the devourers, my people fight with great weapons and powerful ships. But we fight as individuals, each trying to prove they are the best. Humans would fight as a team, yes?" "We'd have to," Jake said. "None of us are strong enough alone." As the weeks passed, Lisa also learned about human culture. Jake took her to movies, though they had to be careful that no one noticed her pointed ears or too bright eyes. Lisa was amazed by the stories humans told. She loved movies where underdogs won against impossible odds. "Your stories are always about small beating big or weak beating strong," she noticed. "Why?" Because that's what we hope for, Jake said. Most of us are small and weak compared to the big problems in the world. But we like to think that doesn't mean we can't win. Lisa began to understand that human hope was not just wishful thinking. It was a tool, like her shape-changing metal. It made humans try things that seemed impossible. It made them keep working, when logic said they should give up. One night, Lisa woke up from a nightmare about the devourers attacking Earth. She found Jake working late on a customer's truck, as he often did. He looked up when he heard her come into the garage. "Bad dream?" he asked. Lisa nodded. "I dreamed the devourers came here. They destroyed your cities and ate your world like they ate mine." Jake set down his tools. "That's not going to happen." "How? Can you be sure? You have seen my technology. You know how much more advanced my people are than yours. The devourers are even more advanced than we are. How could humans fight something like that?" Jake thought for a moment. "Maybe we couldn't fight them the same way your people do, but that doesn't mean we couldn't fight them." "What do you mean?" "Look at this truck," Jake said, pointing to the vehicle he was repairing. "It's 20 years old. The engine is worn out, the transmission is failing, and there are more problems than I can count. Any reasonable person would say it's time to throw it away. But the owner needs this truck for work, and he can't afford a new one, so I'm fixing it." Lisa looked at the old truck. "It would be easier to build a new one. Sure, if you had the money and materials and time, but we don't. So we fix what we have. We make it work with whatever we can find. We don't give up just because something seems impossible." Lisa began to understand. "You think humans would find a way to fight the devourers that no one else has thought of. I think humans would try everything until something worked, and we'd help each other do it. Your people fight as individuals, but humans fight as a family. Even strangers become family when there's trouble." Lisa looked around the garage. In just 3 weeks, this place had become more of a home to her than anywhere she had lived on her own world. Jake had treated her like family from the moment he found her hurt and scared. "Jack," she said, using her pronunciation of his name. "I must tell you something. The tracking signals from my pod are getting stronger. My people will find me soon, and when they do, they will want to take me away from here." Jake nodded. "I figured that would happen eventually." "I do not want to go," Lisa said quietly. "I want to stay here and learn more about humans. I want to help you build things that combine your creativity with Zephyrian technology. I think together we could make something amazing." "Then we'll figure out a way to make that happen," Jake said. "We'll face that problem when it comes, and we'll find a solution. That's what humans do." Lisa smiled. In the weeks since she had crashed on Earth, she had learned that Jake Miller always meant what he said. If he said they would find a way, then they would find a way. She was beginning to understand why human hope was so powerful. It was not just wishing for good things to happen. It was the absolute refusal to accept that good things were impossible. Jake was under the hood of a customer's van when the sky changed. It was a normal Tuesday morning, and he was using Lisa's metal tool to fix a transmission problem. Lisa was in the office, studying English books and watching the news on Jake's old television. Suddenly, the air above the garage shimmered like heat waves on hot pavement. Then 3 silver ships appeared out of nowhere, floating silently 20 feet above the building. They were sleek and beautiful, shaped like teardrops with no visible engines or wings. Lisa ran out of the office, her face white with fear. "They found me?" she whispered. The largest ship landed in the empty lot behind the garage, right where Lisa's escape pod had crashed weeks ago. The other 2 ships stayed in the air, watching. A door opened in the side of the landed ship, and 4 figures walked out. They looked like Lisa, but taller and dressed in silver uniforms that seemed to be made of the same material as their ships. The leader was a woman with short white hair and eyes that glowed with blue light. She walked toward the garage like she owned the world. Jake stepped in front of Lisa, even though he knew it was useless. The aliens had technology that could make ships invisible, and probably weapons he could not even imagine. The leader stopped a few feet away and spoke in the musical language Lisa had used when she first woke up. Lisa answered in the same language, but Jake could hear the fear in her voice. "I am Commander Zara Bell," the leader said, switching to perfect English. "We have come for the refugee, Lisa Kane." "How do you know English so well?" Jake asked. "We have been monitoring your planet's communications since we detected our technology here. Your languages are simple to learn." Commander Bell looked at Jake like he was an interesting insect. "You are the human who found our lost citizen." "Her name is Lisa, and she's not lost," Jake said. "She's here because she wants to be." Commander Bell smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Humans are amusing. You think you understand our technology and our people because you have played with one broken escape pod. One of the other aliens, a tall man with silver markings on his uniform, stepped forward. "Commander, the energy readings show significant integration between our technology and primitive human tools. This could be dangerous." "Dangerous to who?" Jake asked. Commander Bell ignored him and spoke to Lisa in their language again. Lisa answered back, and Jake could tell they were arguing. Lisa pointed at Jake, and then at the garage. She spoke faster and louder, but the commander just shook her head. "Lisa Kane will return with us immediately," Commander Bell announced. "She has shared classified technology with a primitive species which violates our laws." "Wait," Jake said. "She was hurt and scared. I helped her. She was just returning the favor by teaching me a few things." "A few things?" The commander laughed. "She has given you access to molecular manipulation, self-repairing materials and diagnostic systems that your species will not develop for another 1,000 years." Lisa stepped forward. "Commander Bell, you do not understand. These humans are not what we were taught. They are not violent or primitive. They are creative and kind and—" "Enough," Commander Bell said. "You will come with us now, or we will take you by force." Jake felt anger building in his chest. "She said she doesn't want to go. Doesn't that matter to you?" "What matters," Commander Bell said, "is that a Zephyrian citizen has compromised our security by sharing technology with a species that is not ready for it. The Devourers have ways of detecting our technology signatures. By staying here, Lisa Kane has put this entire world at risk." "Then help us defend ourselves," Jake said. "Teach us how to fight the Devourers instead of just running away." "Commander." Bell and her soldiers looked at Jake like he had said something funny. "Your species has barely learned to travel between your own planets. You fight each other with chemical explosives and metal projectiles. The Devourers have technology that makes ours look primitive. What could humans possibly do against them?" Jake looked at Lisa, then back at the commander. "We could try." "Try?" Commander Bell shook her head. "The Devourers have consumed hundreds of worlds. They have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours. Trying is not enough." "It's all we've got," Jake said. "But sometimes that's enough." The silver-marked alien checked a device on his wrist. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures approaching. Devourer scouts moving fast." Commander Bell's confident expression changed to worry. "How far?" 6 hours, maybe less. They've definitely detected our technology here." Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "You have to leave," she said, "all of you. The Devourers will destroy everything to get to the technology." But Jake was already moving. He ran into his garage and came back carrying a device he and Lisa had built together. It looked like a combination of human car parts and Zephyrian metal, held together with wire and determination. "What is that?" Commander Bell asked. "Something Lisa and I made," Jake said. "We took your healing metal and combined it with human engineering. It can make a shield that adapts to whatever hits it." Jake activated the device. A shimmering barrier appeared around the garage like a soap bubble made of light. Commander Bell's soldier aimed a weapon at the barrier and fired. The energy beam hit the shield, which absorbed the blast and glowed brighter. "Impossible," the commander whispered. "Lisa taught me that your technology can learn and adapt," Jake said. "But she learned from me that human machines are built to be fixed and modified. We made something that does both." The shield flickered and changed color as it analyzed the energy weapon. Then it pulsed, and the weapon in the soldier's hand stopped working. "The shield learned how to disrupt your weapon," Lisa explained to the shocked Zephyrians. "It will remember that energy pattern, And be ready for it next time. Commander Bell stared at the device in Jake's hands. How is this possible? You've combined our molecular technology with primitive human mechanics. We've been working together for weeks, Jake said. Lisa understands your advanced science, but I understand how to build things that keep working even when they break. Together we made something new. The commander looked at her scanner again. The Devourers will be here soon. This shield might work against our weapons, but it will not stop them. Then don't run away, Jake said. Stay and help us fight. Lisa says your people fight as individuals, but humans fight as a team. Maybe together we can do something neither of us could do alone. Commander Bell looked at Jake, then at Lisa, then at the strange device that had stopped her soldier's weapon. For a moment, Jake thought she might actually consider it, but then she shook her head. It is too dangerous. We cannot risk Zephyrian lives on human hope and improvised technology. But you'll risk human lives by leaving us here to face the Devourers alone? Jake asked. Commander Bell had no answer for that. She gave orders to her soldiers in their own language. Two of them moved toward Lisa. Jake stepped between them and Lisa again. You want her, you'll have to go through me. The soldiers looked at their commander, waiting for orders. Commander Bell studied Jake's face and saw something there that made her pause. Maybe it was the determination in his eyes, or the way he stood ready to fight even though he had no chance of winning. Commander, the silver-marked soldier said urgently. Devourer energy signatures are getting stronger. We need to leave now. Commander Bell made her decision. Take the human too. What? Jake said. If you want to stay with Lisa Kane so badly, you can come with us. We will evacuate you both to safety before the Devourers arrive. Jake looked back at his garage, at the shield still glowing around it, at the customers' cars he was supposed to fix. Then he looked at Lisa, who was watching him with hope and fear in her bright green eyes. No, he said. This is my home. These are my people. If the Devourers are coming here because of technology I helped build, then I'm going to stay and help defend this place. Commander Bell stared at him. You would rather die than leave your primitive world? Jake picked up his improvised shield device. I'd rather try to save it than run away without fighting. The Zephyrian commander stood silent for a long moment, looking at the human mechanic who refused to abandon his home. Then she did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She smiled. Commander Bell's smile surprised everyone, including herself. She looked at Jake holding his improvised shield device, then at Lisa, then back at Jake. You would stay and fight with primitive weapons against an enemy that has destroyed star systems? She asked. They're not primitive if they work, Jake said. And I won't be fighting alone. Lisa stepped beside Jake. I will stay too, Commander. This is where I want to be. Commander Bell shook her head. Lisa Kane, you are a Zephyrian citizen. I cannot allow you to throw your life away on a hopeless cause. 5 hours ago, you thought it was hopeless for humans to stop our weapons, Jake said. But this shield device worked. Maybe what looks hopeless to you looks different to us. The silver-marked soldier checked his scanner again. Commander, the Devourer energy signatures are getting stronger. We have maybe 4 hours now. Commander Bell was quiet for a long moment. Jake could see her thinking, weighing options in her mind. Finally, she spoke to her soldiers in their own language. 2 of them looked shocked and argued with her, but she gave them a sharp order that made them stop. I am making a decision that my superiors will not like, she said to Jake. We will not evacuate Lisa Kane by force, but we will also not leave Earth defenseless against the Devourers. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means we will stay and see what humans can do when they are properly equipped. If your people can prove they are worthy allies, the Zephyrian Empire will consider an alliance. If not, she did not finish the sentence. Lisa's eyes went wide. Commander, the Council will be furious. We are not supposed to interfere with primitive worlds. The Council is not here, Commander Bell said, and this world is no longer primitive if it can create hybrid technology that surprises us. Besides, the Devourers are coming whether we leave or stay. At least this way we can study human tactics. Jake felt a mix of hope and terror. "What do you need us to do?" Commander Bell looked around at the garage, the neighborhood, the city beyond. "Show me how humans prepare for war with limited resources. You have 4 hours to organize a defense using whatever you can find. We will provide some technology, but the strategy must be yours." The next 4 hours were the busiest of Jake's life. Commander Bell contacted the human governments, but it would take too long for military forces to organize. Instead, Jake had to work with what was available locally. He started by calling every mechanic, engineer, and inventor he knew in Detroit. Within an hour, dozens of people had gathered at his garage. Lisa and the Zephyrian soldiers showed them basic alien technology while Jake explained what they were facing. "The Devourers expect to find either helpless primitives or standard Zephyrian defenses," Jake told the group. "They won't be ready for something that's both human and alien at the same time." A woman named Carol, who ran an electronics repair shop, raised her hand. "What kind of weapons do these Devourers use?" Commander Bell answered. "Energy beams that disrupt molecular bonds, acid that eats through any known material, mechanical parasites that turn our own technology against us. So they're used to fighting high-tech enemies," said an old man named Pete who fixed aircraft engines. "What happens when they fight low-tech enemies using high-tech tools?" "What do you mean?" Commander Bell asked. Pete grinned. "I mean, what if we take your fancy alien metal and use it to make really simple weapons like slingshots and crossbows and catapults?" Lisa's eyes lit up. The molecular metal could become any projectile shape, and if the Devourers try to hack it, they would only find simple mechanical systems. Jake was already thinking, "We could make traps that look like broken cars but are actually alien metal waiting to change shape. We could build weapons that seem primitive but hit harder than energy beams." Commander Bell looked confused. "You want to fight an advanced enemy with ancient weapons?" "We want to fight a smart enemy with stupid weapons powered by smart technology," Carol explained. "They'll be looking for computers to hack and energy shields to break. They won't expect a rock powered by molecular manipulation." The group split up across the city. Carol's team worked on communication devices that looked like old radios but used Zephyrian technology. Pete's group built catapults and crossbows that could launch alien metal projectiles. Jake and Lisa focused on mobile weapons that looked like ordinary cars and trucks. Jake took his oldest, most beat-up vehicles and Lisa filled them with Zephyrian technology. To the Devourers, they would look like broken human machines. But when activated, they could transform into fighting vehicles with adaptive armor and weapons that changed based on what they were fighting. "The beauty of this plan," Jake explained to Commander Bell, "is that it uses what humans are best at. We're good at making broken things work, at hiding strength behind weakness, and at working together when we're outnumbered." With 2 hours left, Jake realized they needed more people. He got on every radio station in the city and explained what was happening. He told people to grab whatever tools they had and meet at designated spots around Detroit. Thousands of people came. Factory workers, teachers, students, retired soldiers, shop owners. Most of them had never seen alien technology before, but they were willing to learn and fight for their home. Lisa worked with teams of humans, teaching them how to use Zephyrian healing metal to repair themselves during battle. Commander Bell's soldiers showed people how to operate energy weapons, though Jake insisted they also keep human backup weapons that could not be hacked or disrupted. "Your people are remarkable," Commander Bell told Jake as they watched humans and Zephyrians working together. "They are learning advanced technology faster than should be possible. They're motivated," Jake said. "Nothing makes humans learn faster than knowing their families are in danger." With 1 hour left, Jake stood on the roof of his garage and looked out over Detroit. The city was ready. Hidden weapons waited in empty lots. Ordinary-looking vehicles contained alien technology. Thousands of people with hybrid weapons waited for the signal to fight. Lisa joined him on the roof. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," Jake admitted, "but also excited. We've built something amazing here today. Human creativity and Zephyrian technology working together. Even if we lose, we've proved something important." "What's that?" That different people can work together when they have to. That old ideas and new ideas can combine to make something better than either one alone. Commander Bell climbed up to the roof and checked her scanner. "They're here," she said. 12 Devourer ships approaching fast. Jake looked up at the sky and saw dark shapes moving between the clouds. They were larger than the Zephyrian ships and had a hungry, predatory look. "Remember," Jake said into his radio to all the human teams, "wait for them to get close. Let them think we're helpless. Then show them what Detroit can build when we put our minds to it." The Devourer ships descended toward the city, expecting easy prey. They had no idea they were about to face something completely new in their long history of conquest. They were about to learn why humans never gave up, and what happened when human determination met alien technology. Jake gripped his hybrid weapon and smiled. This was going to be interesting. The Devourer ships came down like black storms, blotting out the afternoon sun. They were massive, 3 times larger than any Zephyrian vessel, and covered in what looked like metal teeth and claws. As they descended toward Detroit, energy beams shot from their hulls, scanning for targets. Jake watched from his garage roof as the lead ship stopped directly above downtown. A voice boomed from it, speaking in perfect English but with a sound like grinding metal. "Primitive inhabitants of this world, surrender the Zephyrian technology and we will consume your planet quickly. Resist, and we will make your ending slow and painful." Jake picked up his radio. "All teams, remember the plan. Let them get close, let them think we're helpless. Carol, are your communication jammers ready?" "Ready, Jake," came Carol's voice. "The Devourers won't be able to talk to each other once I flip the switch." "Pete, how are those catapults?" "Locked and loaded with alien metal projectiles. Just say the word." The Devourers began landing troops in the city. From his roof, Jake could see the enemy soldiers marching through the streets. They looked like a nightmare combination of machine and insect, with metal armor covering organic parts that pulsed and writhed. They carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. The Devourer troops moved through Detroit, expecting panicked civilians running in terror. Instead, they found empty streets and silent buildings. They scanned for energy signatures and found only the faint readings from abandoned cars and broken electronics. "Now," Jake said into his radio. Carol activated her jammers. Across the city, disguised devices began broadcasting interference that scrambled Devourer communications. The enemy soldiers suddenly found themselves cut off from their ships and each other. At the same moment, Pete's catapults launched their first volley. To the Devourers, they looked like primitive siege weapons firing simple rocks. But each projectile was made of Zephyrian metal, programmed to change shape when it hit a target. The rocks struck Devourer armor and instantly transformed into metal, spikes that punched through their protection. Other projectiles became nets that wrapped around weapons and dissolved them with molecular acid. The Devourers had never seen anything like it. "Impossible," Jake heard one of them say through his translator. "These are primitive kinetic weapons. How are they penetrating our armor?" The answer came when Jake's modified vehicles roared to life. Old pickup trucks and beat-up cars suddenly sprouted alien weapons and charged the confused Devourer troops. The enemy tried to hack the vehicle's computer systems, but found only simple engines and mechanical parts that could not be disrupted electronically. Lisa coordinated the vehicle attacks from Jake's garage. "Team 3, swing around behind them. Team 7, use your tunnel access to hit them from below. Remember, they expect high-tech warfare. Give them low-tech surprises." The Devourers tried to adapt. Their ships fired energy beams at the human vehicles, but the cars were covered with alien metal that absorbed the energy and grew stronger. When the Devourers sent mechanical parasites to infect human technology, the parasites found themselves trying to take over carburetors and brake lines instead of computer systems. Commander Bell watched the battle from beside Jake. "This is remarkable," she said. "Your people are fighting a spacefaring enemy with modified ground vehicles." "Works pretty well, doesn't it?" Jake said, then spoke into his radio. "All teams, Phase 2. Show them what we've really got." Across Detroit, thousands of humans emerged from hiding places. They carried weapons that looked like hunting rifles and baseball bats. but were enhanced with Zephyrian technology. Factory workers wielded welding torches that could cut through Devourer armor. Construction workers swung hammers that hit with the force of energy cannons. The Devourers found themselves fighting an enemy that made no sense. Every weapon they tried to hack was too simple to be hacked. Every strategy they used against advanced civilizations failed against opponents who fought like primitives, but hit like warriors from the far future. A group of Devourer soldiers cornered a team of humans in an alley. The aliens raised their energy weapons expecting easy kills. Instead, the humans pulled out what looked like slingshots and started firing. The Devourer commander laughed until the first projectile hit him and turned into a metal net that wrapped around his weapon and dissolved it. "What is this technology?" the Devourer demanded as more net projectiles disabled his squad's weapons. "It's Detroit innovation," one of the humans replied, then hit the alien with a baseball bat that channeled energy through its core. The battle raged for 2 hours. The Devourers kept trying to use their advanced technology against what appeared to be primitive humans, but nothing worked the way it was supposed to. Their energy shields were useless against simple projectiles enhanced with alien metal. Their hacking abilities could not touch mechanical weapons. Their superior firepower was neutralized by armor that learned from every attack. Finally, the lead Devourer ship tried a different approach. It fired a massive energy beam straight down at Jake's garage, trying to destroy the source of the strange hybrid technology. The beam hit Jake's adaptive shield device, which he had expanded to cover several city blocks. The shield absorbed the energy, analyzed it, and then fired it back at the Devourer ship with modifications that made it 10 times more powerful. The lead ship's hull cracked. Alarms sounded across the Devourer fleet as they realized their own weapon had been turned against them by what they thought was a primitive species. "Retreat," the Devourer commander broadcast to his remaining ships. "This world has defenses we do not understand. Mark it as dangerous and inform the fleet to avoid this system." Jake watched through binoculars as the Devourer ships lifted off and disappeared into space. Around the city, humans were cheering and hugging each other. They had done the impossible. They had driven off an enemy that had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than Earth. Commander Bell stood beside Jake on the garage roof, looking stunned. "In 300 years of warfare, I have never seen the Devourers retreat from a planet. They always fight until they win or die." "Maybe they never fought anyone like us before," Jake said. Lisa climbed up to join them, grinning with joy and exhaustion. "Jake, do you realize what we have accomplished? We have created a new kind of warfare, human creativity combined with Zephyrian technology. It is something completely new in the galaxy." Commander Bell activated her communication device and spoke to her ship. "This is Commander Bell to Zephyrian Command. I am recommending immediate alliance status for the human species. They have demonstrated tactical innovation that exceeds our own military capabilities." Over the following days, Earth became famous throughout the Zephyrian Empire as the world that had driven off the Devourers. Representatives from dozens of allied worlds came to study human tactics and technology integration. Jake's garage became the center of a new industry. The hybrid weapons and vehicles developed during the battle were improved and mass-produced. Earth's engineers worked with alien scientists to create technologies that neither species could have built alone. Within a year, Jake found himself running humanity's first interstellar engineering facility. His small garage had grown into a complex that employed thousands of humans and aliens working together. They built starships that combined human mechanical reliability with Zephyrian advanced materials. They created weapons that were too simple for enemies to hack, but too powerful for enemies to survive. Lisa became Earth's ambassador to the Zephyrian Empire, but she kept her workshop in Jake's facility. Every evening, she and Jake would work on new projects together, just like in the old days when they were learning from each other in a small garage. "Do you miss the simple times?" Lisa asked one evening as they tested a new engine design. Jake looked around at the bustling facility, at humans and aliens working side by side, at technologies that would have seemed like magic just 2 years ago. Then he looked at Lisa, his friend who had crashed into his life and changed everything. "Every day was simple when all I had to worry about was fixing cars," he said. "But simple wasn't better. This is better." Working together, building things that help people, being part of something bigger than myself. This is what I was meant to do. Lisa smiled. I think your people were meant to do this too. To take things that seem impossible and make them work. To bring hope to a galaxy that had forgotten how to hope. Outside their workshop, the first human-designed starship was preparing for its maiden voyage to the stars. It looked like no ship any alien race had ever built, because it had been designed by people who learned to fly by fixing old cars and never giving up on broken things. Jake Miller had started as a poor mechanic struggling to pay his bills. He ended as a leader in humanity's greatest adventure, and it had all begun with a simple choice to help someone who needed help, no matter how impossible the situation seemed. That, Lisa had learned, was the most human thing of all.